Friends, most of our problems are not because we lack talent, they are because we leak energy. We talk too much, we explain too much, we react too fast. Silence is not weakness, silence is clarity. When you stop announcing your plans, life stops testing them. When you stop reacting, people stop controlling you. So today, I am not here to teach you how to fight the world. I am here to remind you. Focus on yourself. Move in silence. Let your growth make the noise in 2026. Not everyone deserves access to you. This may sound a little harsh at first, but please listen carefully. In life, we are taught to be polite, to be available, to respond quickly, to say yes often. Slowly, without realizing it, we give people unlimited access to our time, our emotions, our thoughts, and even our dreams. And then one day we wake up feeling exhausted, confused, and empty, not because life is too heavy, but because too many people are sitting in our mental space rent-free. You see, access is powerful. When someone has access to you, they have access to your mood. One message from them can change your entire day. One comment can disturb your sleep. One opinion can make you doubt your self-worth. Ask yourself honestly, should everyone have that power over you? Of course not. Yet many of us give this power very easily, without any filter, without any boundary. There are people who don't want to see you grow, but they want to stay close enough to comment on your growth. There are people who don't support your dreams, but they want full updates on your journey. There are people who don't clap when you succeed, but they are always present when you fail. And the problem is not them. The problem is that as we keep giving them access. Understand this very deep lie. Not everyone who talks to you cares about you, and not everyone who listens to you understands you. Some people collect information not to help you, but to judge you. Some people stay close not out of love, but out of comparison. When you share your plans with such people, you don't get encouragement, you get doubt. You don't get support, you get fear. Slowly, their words become your inner voice. And then you wonder why you feel stuck. Protecting your energy is not arrogance. It is maturity. Just like you lock your house at night, not because you hate people, but because you value safety, in the same way, you must lock parts of your life. Everyone doesn't need to know what you are planning. Everyone doesn't need to know what you are struggling with. Everyone doesn't need to know what you are healing from. Some things grow better in silence. Think about this. When you are constantly available to everyone, when you reply instantly, explain everything, justify every decision, you are teaching people that your time has no value. And when your time has no value, neither does your energy. The moment you start choosing who gets access to you, something beautiful happens. You start feeling lighter. You start feeling calmer. You start feeling more in control of your life. Some people will not like this new version of you. They will say, "You've changed." Smile and say nothing. Because yes, you have changed. You have learned to respect yourself. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will always complain when you start building them. That is a sign you are doing the right thing. Remember, closeness should be earned, not assumed. Just because someone has known you for years does not mean they deserve lifelong access. Some people were meant for a chapter, not the whole book. Holding on to them out of guilt only delays your growth. Letting go does not mean you are heartless. It means you are honest with yourself. In 2026, if you truly want peace, you must become selective. Selective about conversations. Selective about relationships. Selective about emotional investments. You don't need a large circle, you need a safe circle. People who respect your silence. People who don't demand explanations. People who don't compete with your progress. And let me tell you something very important. When you reduce access, you increase value. Suddenly, your words carry weight. Your presence feels calm. Your absence teaches lessons you never had to explain. You no longer chase validation because you are no longer surrounded by people who make you doubt yourself. So promise yourself this: you will stop giving VIP access to people who only deserve a visitor's pass. You will stop pouring energy into people who never refill you. You will stop explaining your heart to minds that are committed to misunderstanding you. Not everyone deserves access to you, and the day you truly accept this, your life becomes quieter, stronger, and deeply peaceful. Silence protects your inner peace, but only when you truly understand what silence means. Silence is not running away. Silence is not fear. Silence is not the inability to speak. Silence is a conscious decision to not give your energy to chaos. Most of the time, what drains us is not the situation itself, but our reaction to it. The moment you react emotionally, you hand over control of your peace to someone else. Think about how many times your mood has been ruined by a single comment. One careless sentence, one unnecessary opinion, one sarcastic remark, and suddenly your mind starts replaying it again and again. You argue in your head. You imagine replies. You lose sleep. The other person moves on, but you carry the weight. This is why silence is powerful. Silence breaks this chain. Silence says, I refuse to suffer twice. Inner peace is fragile in the beginning. It needs protection, just like a small flame needs shelter from the wind. When you expose it to every argument, every debate, every provocation, it cannot survive. That is why wise people choose silence, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that as not every battle deserves their energy. There is a strange satisfaction in proving others wrong. The ego loves it. It wants the last word. It wants recognition. But every time you try to prove something to someone who has already decided not to understand you, you lose something far more valuable than the argument. You lose your calm. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to keep your dignity intact. It allows you to walk away without wounds. Many people misunderstand silence. They think if they don't respond, they will appear weak. But true strength does not shout. True strength is stable. The strongest person in the room is often the quietest because they are not trying to dominate the space. They are comfortable within themselves. They don't need approval to feel secure. Observe carefully. People who are at peace do not react impulsively. They pause, they breathe, they choose their response, or sometimes they choose no response at all. That pause is not empty. It is filled with awareness, and awareness is what saves you from regret. How many times have we said something in anger and wished we could take it back? Silence saves you from those moments. Silence also reveals the truth about people. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, when you stop defending yourself, some people become uncomfortable. They were not interested in conversation. They were interested in control. Your silence takes that control away. It forces them to sit with themselves, and many people cannot handle that. Protecting your inner peace does not mean you become indifferent to the world. It means you become selective. You stop allowing external noise to create internal storms. You realize that your peace is more important than being right. You realize that some arguments are designed not to resolve issues, but to disturb you. In silence, you hear yourself clearly. You understand what you feel, not what others want you to feel. You start noticing your triggers, your patterns, your weaknesses. Noise hides these truths. Silence exposes them gently without judgment. That is why growth often feels lonely, because it happens in quiet moments. When you practice silence, you stop reacting to every provocation. You stop replying to every message immediately. You stop justifying every decision. Slowly, your nervous system relaxes. Your mind becomes lighter. You sleep better. You think clearer. This is not magic. This is what happens when the mind is not constantly under attack. Inner peace is not something you find outside. It is something you defend inside. Silence is one of the strongest shields you have. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. Yet it keeps you safe. So, when life tries to pull you into unnecessary drama, choose silence. When someone tries to provoke you, choose silence. When your ego wants to react, choose silence. Not because you are afraid, but because you value your peace more than temporary satisfaction. Over time, silence will change you. You will become calmer, stronger, and more grounded. Things that once disturbed you will no longer have the same power. And one day, you will realize that the greatest victory was never winning the argument. It was us protecting your inner peace. Focus is the new luxury, because in today's world, distraction is everywhere and discipline is rare. We often think luxury means money, comfort, or freedom, but the real luxury now is the ability to sit with one thing and give it your complete attention. The ability to concentrate without checking your phone every few minutes. The ability to work without constantly seeking validation. The ability to stay committed when boredom appears. This kind of focus has become so uncommon that anyone who masters it automatically moves ahead in life. Look around and you will notice something very interesting. Most people are busy, but very few are productive. They are always running, scrolling, talking, reacting, yet nothing meaningful is moving forward. This is not because they lack talent or intelligence. It is because their energy is scattered. When energy is scattered, effort increases and results decrease. Focus gathers energy. It turns small efforts into powerful outcomes. Distraction feels harmless at first. One notification, one message, one quick look. But over time, these small interruptions break the rhythm of your mind. They train your brain to avoid depth and chase novelty. Slowly, you lose the ability to stay with discomfort. And without discomfort, there is no growth. Focus requires you to stay present even when things feel boring, difficult, or slow. That is why most people avoid it. When you focus deeply on one area of your life, something remarkable happens. You start noticing details others miss. You improve faster. You build confidence quietly, because you can see your own progress even if no one else can. Focus creates self-trust. You stop doubting yourself because you are no longer comparing your journey with everyone else's highlight reel. In a world where everyone wants quick results, the person who is willing to work patiently has an unfair advantage. Focus is not dramatic. It doesn't give instant excitement. It demands consistency. It demands saying no to many things that look attractive but lead nowhere. This ability to say no is what separates those who move forward from those who stay busy but stuck. Focus also brings clarity. When your attention is divided, your mind becomes noisy. You overthink. You second guess. You feel anxious because your thoughts are pulling you in different directions. But when you commit your attention to one priority, your mind calms down. You know what matters. You know what can wait. This clarity is deeply peaceful. Many people say they don't have time. The truth is, they don't have focus. Time expands when attention is present. One focused hour can produce more results than an entire distracted day. But focus asks for sacrifice. It asks you to step away from constant entertainment. It asks you to be alone with your thoughts. For many people, that is uncomfortable. Focus is also an act of self-respect. When you choose to concentrate on something meaningful, you are telling yourself that your goals matter. You stop wasting your potential on things that do not serve you. Slowly, your identity changes. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries. You see yourself as someone who finishes. As focus grows, discipline follows naturally. You don't need motivation every day. You build a rhythm. You show up even when you don't feel like it. This quiet consistency is what creates excellence. Not talent alone, not luck, just focused effort over time. In the coming years, the gap between focused people and distracted people will become even wider. Technology will become faster. Information will become louder. Attention will become more valuable. Those who protect their focus will protect their future. Those who don't will feel constantly overwhelmed, always behind, always chasing. So treat focus like a luxury. Guard it carefully. Do not give it away to every notification, every opinion, every unnecessary conversation. When you focus deeply on yourself and your growth, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities appear. Confidence builds, peace settles in, and one day you will look back and realize that the moment you chose focus over distraction was the moment your life quietly changed direction. Your growth doesn't need an announcement because real growth is quiet, subtle, and deeply personal. We live in a time where progress is measured by how visible it is, not by how real it is. If it is not posted, shared, or applauded, it feels like it doesn't exist. But life does not work on the rules of social approval. Life works on the rules of consistency, patience, and inner transformation, and these things happen best away from noise. When you announce your plans too early, something strange happens. You receive applause for work you haven't done yet. Your mind gets a false sense of achievement. The hunger that was meant to push you forward gets diluted. You start chasing validation instead of progress. Slowly, your focus shifts from becoming better to being seen as better. This is where growth gets stuck. Silence protects your process. When no one knows what you are building, no one can interfere with it. No unnecessary opinions. No comparisons. No pressure to explain why things are taking time. Growth needs space. Just like a seed needs darkness to sprout, your plans need privacy to develop strength. Many people sabotage their own progress by sharing it with the wrong audience. They tell people who are not ready to understand their vision. Those people may not intentionally discourage you, but their doubts, fears, and limitations quietly enter your mind. You begin to question yourself. You slow down. You lose momentum. Not because your dream was wrong, but because it was exposed too soon. There is also ego involved in announcements. The ego wants recognition now. It wants appreciation before results. But the ego is impatient, and impatience destroys consistency. True growth humbles you. It keeps your head down. It teaches you to work when no one is watching, to improve even when no one is clapping. Observe nature carefully. The tallest trees grow silently. Rivers do not make noise about the distance they travel. The sun does not announce its rise, yet the whole world wakes up. Real power does not advertise itself. It simply becomes undeniable over time. When you stop announcing your growth, you also stop inviting unnecessary pressure. Expectations can be heavy. Once people know what you are trying to become, they start watching. Some wait for you to succeed. Some wait for you to fail. Both create pressure. Silence removes this weight. You move at your own pace. You learn without fear. You fail privately and rise stronger. Growth is not a straight line. There are days of doubt, days of exhaustion, days of questioning everything. If everyone is watching, these phases feel embarrassing. You feel forced to pretend that everything is fine. But when you grow in silence, you give yourself permission to be human. You allow the process to shape you honestly. There is also peace in privacy. When your journey is quiet, your mind is calm. You are not constantly checking reactions or waiting for approval. Your self-worth stops depending on external feedback. You become internally anchored. This inner stability is what allows long-term success to last. Eventually, results speak on your behalf. You don't need to explain what you were doing all this time. People notice change when it becomes visible, not when it is promised. And when they do notice, their respect is deeper because it is based on evidence, not words. So let your growth be sacred. Protect it from unnecessary eyes and opinions. Work silently. Improve quietly. Learn deeply. And when the time is right, let your transformation introduce itself. Because the most powerful success stories are not announced, they are revealed. Stop explaining yourself to the wrong audience because not everyone is listening to understand. Some people listen only to respond, some listen to judge, some listen to compare, and some are not listening at all. They have already made up their minds about you. When you keep explaining yourself to such people, you are not creating clarity, you are creating exhaustion. The desire to explain comes from a good place. You want to be understood, you want to clear misunderstandings, you want to protect your image. But when the audience is wrong, explanation becomes a trap. No matter how clearly you speak, your words will be twisted. No matter how honestly you share, your intentions will be questioned. And the more you explain, the weaker you feel, because now your peace depends on someone else's approval. There are people who ask questions not to learn, but to corner you. They keep digging, not because they care, but because they want control. Each explanation you give becomes a thread they pull. Slowly you feel defensive. You start doubting yourself. You replay conversations in your mind, thinking of better answers. This mental noise is the real cost of explaining yourself to the wrong audience. Understand this deeply. Clarity is not created by repetition. If someone genuinely wants to understand you, one honest conversation is enough. If they don't, 1,000 explanations will still fall short. At some point, silence becomes more respectful than words. Silence says, I trust myself enough to not prove myself to you. Many people mistake explanations for maturity. They believe that being emotionally intelligent means constantly justifying their choices. But true emotional maturity is knowing when to speak and when to stop. You are not responsible for managing everyone's perception of you. You are responsible for living in alignment with your values. Explaining yourself too much also leaks confidence. When you constantly justify your decisions, you unconsciously signal that you are unsure. This invites more questioning, more judgment, more interference. Confidence, on the other hand, is calm. It does not argue. It does not over-explain. It simply moves forward. There is also a hidden ego in explanations. The ego wants to be seen as right, as good, as misunderstood, but innocent. It wants validation. But chasing validation is exhausting because it never ends. There will always be someone who doubts you. The moment you stop feeding this need, your energy returns to you. You must learn to recognize the right audience. The right audience listens without attacking. They ask questions with curiosity, not accusation. They may disagree, but they respect you. With them, explanations feel safe and productive. With the wrong audience, explanations feel draining and pointless. Your body often knows the difference before your mind does. Choosing not to explain does not make you rude. It makes you selective. You are not shutting people out. You are protecting yourself. Just because someone demands an explanation does not mean they deserve one. Boundaries are not built by arguments. They are built by calm decisions. When you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily, something shifts. Conversations become lighter. Your mind becomes quieter. You stop carrying the burden of being understood by everyone. You accept that some people will misunderstand you, and that is okay. Your life becomes simpler. Over time, your actions speak for you. People who truly care will understand without constant explanations. People who don't will fade away because they no longer get the emotional reaction they were seeking. Silence becomes your filter. So let go of the habit of over-explaining. Save your words for those who value them. Save your energy for what truly matters. You don't owe clarity to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And the day you truly accept this, your confidence deepens, your peace strengthens, and your life becomes lighter. Discipline speaks louder than motivation because motivation is emotional and discipline is structural. Motivation comes and goes. It depends on mood, inspiration, environment, and external encouragement. One day you feel powerful, the next day you feel tired, doubtful, and uninspired. If your progress depends only on how you feel, your life will move forward in short bursts and long pauses. Discipline, on the other hand, does not ask how you feel. It asks what needs to be done. Many people wait to feel motivated before they act. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect timing, the perfect energy. That moment rarely comes. Life does not pause until you feel ready. Discipline understands this. Discipline shows up even when the mind resists, even when the body is tired, even when the excitement is gone. And this is where real growth happens. Motivation is loud. It makes promises. It creates excitement. It tells you that you can change your life overnight. Discipline is quiet. It does not promise anything. It simply asks you to do the same small actions again and again. No drama, no shortcuts, just consistency. And over time, this quiet effort creates results that motivation alone never could. Think about the people you admire the most. The ones who seem calm, capable, and stable. They are not constantly excited. They are consistent. They have built systems that support them even on difficult days. They do not rely on willpower every morning. They rely on habits. This is discipline in action. Discipline also builds self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, your confidence grows. You start believing in yourself, not because you feel good, but because you have evidence. You have shown up before. You have stayed consistent before. This inner trust is far more powerful than temporary motivation. Motivation often disappears when progress is slow. Discipline stays. When results are not visible, discipline continues quietly. When no one is watching, discipline still works. This is why discipline creates long-term success. It is not dependent on praise or recognition. It is fueled by commitment. There will be days when motivation completely disappears, days when quitting feels easier than continuing, days when self-doubt is loud. Discipline carries you through these moments. It becomes the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, most dreams remain ideas. Discipline is also deeply freeing. At first, it feels restrictive, fixed routines, repeated actions. But over time, it creates freedom. Freedom from overthinking, freedom from inconsistency, freedom from regret. When your actions are disciplined, your mind becomes lighter. You no longer negotiate with yourself every day. People often confuse discipline with punishment. It is not about being harsh. It is about being honest. Honest about what your goals require. Honest about the effort needed. Honest about the excuses you make. Discipline does not judge. It simply responds to reality. When you build discipline, you stop waiting for external validation. You stop needing someone to push you. You become internally driven. This inner drive is calm and steady. It does not burn out quickly. It sustains you through long journeys. Over time, discipline reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You become someone who does. You no longer depend on bursts of motivation. You depend on systems, habits, and routines. And these do not disappear on bad days. So when motivation fades, do not panic. That is normal. Let discipline take over. Show up quietly. Do the work without announcement. Trust the process even when it feels slow. Because in the end, motivation may start the journey, but discipline is what finishes it. Let results answer, not words, because words are easy and results are rare. Anyone can talk. Anyone can promise. Anyone can defend themselves with explanations and arguments. But very few people are willing to stay patient long enough for their actions to speak. When you choose results over words, you step out of noise and into quiet power. The urge to respond, to justify, to prove yourself comes from insecurity. It is the mind's way of seeking immediate relief. When someone doubts you, criticizes you, or underestimates you, the ego wants to react instantly. It wants to correct the narrative. It wants to protect your image. But every time you respond with words, you enter their frame. You start playing their game. Results, however, change the frame completely. Words can be debated. Words can be twisted. Words can be misunderstood. Results are harder to argue with. They don't shout. They don't defend. They simply exist. When results appear, explanations become unnecessary. The same people who questioned you begin to observe silently. Some may still not acknowledge it, but their opinions lose power over you. Responding with results requires patience, and patience is uncomfortable. There is a gap between effort and outcome. In that gap, doubts arise. People talk. Assumptions are made. This is the phase where most people give up or start explaining themselves. They want recognition before completion, but those who stay silent and continue working build a different kind of strength, inner resilience. Letting results speak also protects your energy. Arguments drain you. Defending yourself keeps you emotionally tied to negativity. When you stop responding with words, you conserve that energy and redirect it into progress. Slowly, your focus shifts from what people are saying to what you are creating. This shift is powerful. There is also dignity in silence. When you don't react to every comment, you demonstrate confidence. You show that your sense of worth is not dependent on external approval. This calm confidence unsettles critics more than any argument ever could. They expect reaction. When they get none, their influence fades. Results also build credibility. Anyone can claim discipline, intelligence, or growth, but when your life reflects it, no explanation is needed. Consistent results over time create a reputation that words cannot, and this reputation is built quietly, day by day, choice by choice. Responding with results teaches humility. You realize that talking less and working more creates deeper satisfaction. You stop chasing applause and start valuing progress. The joy comes not from being right, but from becoming better. There will be moments when staying silent feels unfair, when you know you are misunderstood, when false narratives spread. Silence in such moments is not weakness, it is strategic patience. It is trusting that time and effort will reveal the truth more clearly than any argument. As results grow, something interesting happens. You stop caring so much about opinions. You are too engaged in your own progress. You are too busy building. The noise becomes background sound. This emotional independence is liberating. Letting results answer also changes your relationships. People who only listen to your words may drift away. People who respect effort and growth will stay. Your circle becomes smaller but stronger. In the end, words may impress temporarily, but results transform permanently. When you choose action over explanation, progress over argument, and patience over reaction, you build a life that speaks for itself. And that kind of life does not need defending, it needs only to be lived. Observe more, react less, because most suffering is created not by what happens, but by how quickly we respond to it. Life constantly presents situations that test our patience, our ego, and our emotional control. The difference between a peaceful person and a restless one is not the absence of problems, but the presence of awareness. Awareness begins with observation. When something triggers you, the first impulse is reaction. The mind jumps to conclusions. The ego feels attacked. Emotions rise before logic has a chance to speak. In that moment, reaction feels natural and justified, but reactions are rarely wise. They are automatic, conditioned by past experiences, fears, and insecurities. Observation interrupts this pattern. Observation creates space. A small pause between what happens and how you respond. In that pause, you regain control. You see the situation as it is, not as your emotions color it. This pause may last only a few seconds, but it can save you from hours of regret, broken relationships, and unnecessary stress. Most people believe reacting quickly shows strength. They think silence means submission. In reality, reacting impulsively shows that something outside you has power over you. Observation, on the other hand, is a sign of inner stability. When you observe calmly, you communicate that you are not easily shaken. When you observe instead of reacting, you start noticing patterns. You notice how certain people always provoke the same emotions in you. You notice which situations drain your energy. You notice your own triggers. This awareness is transformative. You stop blaming others for how you feel and start understanding yourself. Observation also brings clarity. When emotions settle, you can see the bigger picture. Many conflicts are not worth your time. Many arguments are fueled by misunderstanding rather than malice. Many words spoken in anger are not personal, but projections of someone else's pain. Observation allows compassion to replace aggression. Reacting less does not mean suppressing emotions. It means processing them consciously. You acknowledge what you feel without letting it control your behavior. This emotional intelligence is a powerful skill. It protects your dignity and your peace at the same time. People who constantly react live in a state of exhaustion. Their nervous system is always on alert. They replay conversations, imagine comebacks, and carry emotional baggage. Observers, however, move through life with lighter minds. They choose their battles. They conserve energy. Observation also improves decision making. When you are calm, you make choices aligned with your long-term goals, not your short-term emotions. You stop sabotaging yourself with impulsive actions. You start responding thoughtfully, or sometimes you choose not to respond at all. There is wisdom in watching without interference. You learn more by listening than by speaking. You understand people better when you are not busy defending yourself. Observation reveals truth about others and about yourself. As you practice observing more, reacting less becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. You become grounded. Situations that once disturbed you lose their intensity. You realize that peace is not found in controlling the world, but in mastering your responses to it. This approach does not make you passive. It makes you powerful. You act when action is needed. You speak when words are necessary. And you remain silent when silence serves you better. Over time, observation transforms your inner world. You feel calmer, wiser, and more centered. You stop being pulled in every direction by emotions and opinions. And in that stillness, you find strength that is quiet, steady, and deeply freeing. Choose loneliness over wrong company, because the wrong company costs you more than being alone ever will. Loneliness is quiet. Wrong company is loud. Loneliness gives you space to grow. Wrong company fills that space with confusion. Most people fear being alone, not because solitude is painful, but because it forces them to face themselves. Yet being surrounded by people who drain you, limit you, or pull you away from your values slowly destroys you from the inside. Wrong company does not always look harmful at first. Sometimes it comes disguised as familiarity, comfort, or long history. You laugh together, talk daily, share routines. But slowly you notice something changing within you. Your energy drops. Your confidence weakens. Your dreams feel smaller. You begin to compromise not because you want to, but because you don't want to feel left out. This is the silent damage of wrong company. When you are with the wrong people, you cannot fully be yourself. You edit your thoughts. You suppress your growth. You shrink your ambitions to fit the room. You pretend to agree to keep peace. Over time, this creates inner conflict. You are physically present, but mentally exhausted. You are surrounded, yet deeply lonely. This is a loneliness far heavier than being alone. Being alone, on the other hand, is honest. There is no performance, no pretending, no pressure to fit in. Solitude gives you clarity. It allows you to hear your own thoughts without interference. You begin to understand what you truly want, not what others expect from you. This self-awareness is the foundation of a strong life. Wrong company normalizes mediocrity. When everyone around you avoids responsibility, discipline feels strange. When people gossip constantly, silence feels awkward. When excuses are celebrated, growth feels uncomfortable. Slowly, you begin to question your own standards. You lower them, not because you believe in less, but because standing alone feels difficult. But growth has always required standing apart. Loneliness teaches self-reliance. You stop waiting for others to validate your choices. You learn to